Hello and welcome to webmastercampus.com. In today's tutorial, we are going to learn Python port scanner. We will develop 4 different projects that will all do the same stuff. They will be scanning open ports in Python. So let's get started with our today's tutorial. Alright guys, this is PyCharm that we are using in my code editor over here. You can download free community edition of PyCharm to develop code. This is the industry standard and is also very handy to utilize. So I will highly recommend use PyCharm if you are a beginner or a professional, but it's all up to you and your choice. This is what will happen when you create a PyCharm and create a new project. I am going to open a new project. There are a couple of different ways to create a project is already created. Then I'm just going to create a files and folder inside of it. Okay, and I am going to call this, let's first create a folder, and I'm going to call this folder port scanner. Okay, so you can see a port scanner is created, and I'm going to create another new file, which is, please notice I am selecting the Python file over here. So you also need to select this. Okay, Python, and I'm going to give port scanner project 1. Okay, and that's the file is created. If we want to check, let's just display a print statement, and I'm going to write down Python port scanner project 1. Okay, and I am going to right click on this project file and just going to click run project 1. Okay, and you can see it is displaying the result Python port scanner. Okay, so all seems to be working and fine. Also, if you are, I'm going to use this right click mechanism, but you can definitely create a new project, and when you click on new, you can decide which kind of Python file or the files you are going to create. So you can select this one as well. You can also run the project from the run navigation, which is perfectly fine. You can do this. You can also rerun from this under the left hand side. You can also use this, and at the top you can use this run button. So there are different possibilities to execute a Python file using in PyCharm. So before get started, let's see the requirement of our project. Okay, the first requirement of our project is we are going to develop a Python port scanner to find open ports in 121.025 range. Okay, so we are not going to scan all of the ports, which is more than 65,000. We are just going to scan, so you will get the basic idea how you can scan a computer or a system on a network to find the vulnerabilities. You can easily scan and find all the open ports are available. Then you need to calculate total time to find open ports, like you took 2 minutes, 2 seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. So we need to figure out total time so we can calculate the efficiency of our program. We are also going to display start and end time on the screen, and also save into the file for our record, like when we started the program and how much time it took to the end of the program. Then we need to save open ports, and if there is any errors into the same file, so we can check it later. Okay, so these are the requirement of our Python project that we are going to develop. Okay, get back to our project file, and here we are. Before dig into the project, I just want to confirm that you guys understand what the print statement does. Then you have the idea about the if else statement. Okay, then you have the idea about the for loop. Okay, and this is just the basic example. So I will just take few minutes or 2 3 minutes few minutes to just give you the idea. It's a very quick. If you already know, just skip this part and move forward. Okay, so let's get started. You already know that I have just guided you how you can print using the print statement in Python. Okay, I use this print statement. Let's print one more thing. Okay, we are learning Python. That's pretty fine, and let's right click on it, execute it. So you can see we got the result. We are learning Python. That's definitely good. And we can also use something like this. We are learning Python. I am a beginner learning using webmastercampus.com. Okay, let's go and execute it. You can see in Python print statement, we can print multiple different phrases or output used by, and we can separate them by comma. So, and you can also do this like if there is a variable, like let's suppose a. Okay, a has 10, and let's print this 10 over here. So printing value, let's call our price is and I'm going to call str to print a value because it has a numeric value, and I'm going to display this. See, it's going to display our price, and that's pretty fine. We can do this. We can also use the format function to print any output. Like instead of this, we can use dot format and provide a, and for this we need to add curly brackets inside of it. So it will also display the same result. These are two different mechanisms to print out. It's all up to you which one you're gonna use it. Okay, so I hope I have give you enough idea about the print statement. I'm going to delete it, and now let's understand the if statement. What if statement is, suppose if a equals to 10, okay, then put the colon and print statement. Okay, and okay, so you can notice this is giving an error because when you write down single equals, it considered as an assignment statement, but we are doing the comparison over here. For comparison, we use double equals operator. So if, and let's execute it. So if its value is 10, then it will show we agreed on price $10. Okay. You can utilize any symbol, like I just replaced the dollar the before, and you can see it's showing the dollar symbol before. It's pretty easy, pretty handy. Let's suppose we have, instead of 10, we have 1 over here, and let's go and result. There's nothing to show us. For then comes to else part. If something is not true and match with the condition, then you can display we resolve our agreement, something like this, and we resolve our agreement, and I'm going to show this. So it will show you the message, we resolve our agreement, or any other message that you want. This part will only display or only execute if this value is not going to match. Okay, if it will generate a false statement, means the value is not correct, then this part will run. If the value is true value, or it will generate the true result, then obviously it will execute it. So this is how we use the if statement or else statement to find out about the condition. If you want to give your program a thinking ability, take the decision, then you have the choice of if else. Okay, then let's suppose learn about the for loop. Okay, and let's suppose we are going to print a student, print a statement. Okay, let's suppose we have 10 students in our class. Okay, so we are going to print this statement, let's suppose 5 or 10 times or any number of times. Okay, you can use this, and like it's a repetition, but bear with me. We have this will print something like this. So definitely you will find it very difficult. We have one student, let's suppose we have one student, we have two students, we have three, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so you can see it's a very hectic work. It's not easy to achieve. Let's suppose you have 10 students, but in case you have 1,000, 10,000, it will be very messy and very difficult to find or display this. So Python and most of the programming language provides you a mechanism of looping. Okay, I'm going to erase this, just going to keep this one very simple. So what we can use the for loop to achieve that. In for loop, we are going to define a syntax. Okay, and that syntax is pretty easy, like for item in range. Okay, and the range is, let's suppose 10. Okay, colon, and then remember in Python spaces matters. You have to tap this or give it a space. Okay, then it will display the values 10 times, but still it's just displaying 1 because we have fixed value of 1 over here. But if you want, you can use curly brackets over here and just use dot format and give the item, or let me call this index instead of item. You can name it anything that you want. So index, and let's run this. So you can see we have this 0 to 9. It is going to display the value, or if you just want to display, you can use the +1 over here and it will just display the same 1 to 10 instead of 0 to 9. In Python, range starts by default. Range start from 0. Okay, you can change this by using a different range. It's all up to you. You need to learn about the ranges to explore more. Okay, I will certainly develop a complete tutorial in Python for understanding. Okay, so here we are, and we have learned print, if, else, and for loop statement. Now let's go and develop our project. So to start port scanning in Python, let's write down the coding. First, we need to import some libraries. I'm going to import socket library. Okay, we are going to also import sys library, and this will be for error handling, and I'm going to use date and time, import date and time. Okay, so these are the libraries I'm going to utilize it. You can see these are just like in disable because we haven't utilized it yet. That's why it's going to display it. Then what you can do, you can write a statement to take the address, because when you are going to scan a port, you just need the IP address to scan that particular port or host name. So how we can do, let's say host, and I'm going to let's fix it now to localhost. Localhost is your fixed host, and I'm going to find this host IP address. How I can use socket.get host by name, which is a function, host by name, and in host by name I'm going to use our host that we have just access, which is localhost. I just give you fix the value for the testing purposes, but when we develop the project, you can use what you can use. You can just take this input from the user, like host equals to input, and you can ask the user if there is any specific port he want to enter. Please enter host to scan, okay, something like this. So what will happen? So it will just ask the input from the user and that use that particular host. Okay, so to give the idea, and let me just show you host over here and then print the host IP. Okay, here we are. It is showing that our host name is localhost and IP address is 127.0.0.1, which is our loopback address. That's the default one. Okay, so I hope you have clear about that. This host is displaying localhost. If instead of this directly fixing the value, you want to take it, just put the hash symbol over here and enable this one. So what it will happen now, we can find any host. Instead of localhost, I'm going to add google.com. It will show you the host is google.com. The IP address is this, which is getting by the host by name socket library. Okay, you can use any one over here, like instead of this you can use bing.com. okay, bing.com IP address is this, and you can even use the localhost. Okay, so this, if you have noticed this, I just mispronounced the word. Instead of localhost, I have typed HSOT, which is generating a error, get address info failed, and we can handle this by using the exception. Okay, so how we can handle this by exception is we are going to add a try except block. Let's write down over here like try colon, and I'm going to add all of this like this over here and except, and I'm going to write down socket.gai error and colon, and I'm going to print host name you entered is not correct, something like this. So it's a way to handle the error. So now if I'm going to add again the wrong value, so instead of this I'm going to type local h something, you can enter and you can see it just gave you a proper error message. Host name you entered is not correct. So this is how you can handle the wrong addresses if anyone is going to enter. So you can use this wrong, find out just correct or wrong. Okay, now let's check if we are going to enter the correct one. It's going to calculate it or not. That's at localhost, working fine. So we have resolved this error and it's fine. Now I'm going to just remove it, or we can just remove it. It's better choice, so we can keep it clean. I'm going to use this hash symbol and uncomment this one. So we have a fixed value localhost, which is pretty handy while we will be testing. Also note that the spacing before these host IP, this is quite important in Python. If I will remove this space, just going to press shift tab, so it will remove it, and you can see it is starting to give an error like indent expected. And if you see like indent expected, the statements expression, so it will start giving you error. So please note it, give selecting all and press tab. Okay, this is spacing matters in Python. Okay, remember because we are in try block, so try is the parent block and all are the children of try, so you have to give a space or tab before them to make it workable. Okay, now let's move to our port scanning part. For this, we are going to run a for loop, and I'm going to use for port in a range, and in the range I'm going to define 1 comma 1025. So this is our range that we are going to achieve, and this, what we will do, we will create a socket function. Okay, we will call this. So I'm going to call this sock and socket. Okay, and in this one we will define two values. Okay, the first value is socket.af_inet. okay, and this is about, the next value is socket.sockstream. Okay, so we have used socket.af_inet and socket.sockstream. So what is socket.af_inet? Let me give you a little bit description. AF_inet is it means IP4 addresses. Okay, if you are going to use AF_net and inet6 means IP6 addresses. So okay, so we are using the IP4 addressing mechanism over here, and it will work. Then it comes to socket.sockstream, and what socket.sockstream means, that means we are using TCP connection. But if you want, you can use sock.dgram, socket.sock.dgram for UDP connection. I believe you understand. TCP normally used for IP addressing our content, all the images, other files, but for videos and streaming, live streaming, we use UDP connections. Okay, so you can find out more about this, but here we are just using the AF_inet, which is an IP4 address, and socket.sockstream means we are using the TCP connection. Okay, I hope this bit of explanation help you to understand this. Okay, next we are going to call this sock.connectEx. okay, and in this we are going to use a bracket, and in this we will provide the host IP first, and then in the comma we will add the port number, and let's store the result. It will provide in a result variable, so it will look like this over here. Remember, please note down that I am using double brackets over here, because this function is expecting a tuple or a single value. Okay, if you forget to add a double brackets over here, it will give you the error and it will not compile. Okay, I hope this will be clear. Now next, let's move forward, and results equals to 0. If it will give you the result 0, then it means the port is open in the range, and I'm going to write this port curly brackets open is open, or open you can use. Okay, and obviously we use the curly brackets, so we need to provide the variable which is port, because we are calculating the port. So I hope this will work fine, and let's execute it to see the result. And here we go. It is just stuck over here and it's not showing any result, but the program is correct. But the process very slow. To see the process, you can just write down an else statement. I stop this and you can write down, let's copy the same upper statement, or is I'm going to write down closed. Okay, and let's re-execute it. Port 1 is closed, port 2 is closed, or so on. So it's keep running, but you have noticed this process is quite slow. To go and achieve 1025 range seems quite difficult and time consuming task. So let's stop this by hitting this stop project, and I'm going to add sock, which is the variable for socket we are using. I'm going to use set timeout. Okay, in set timeout we are going to provide a value. Let's provide 1 over here, or 0.1. 1 I believe is the default one we are going to use. So you can see it is some better now as compared to the previous one. And let's stop this again and add, before the 1 I'm going to add 2 more zeros, so minimum time that within that it can achieve. Let's execute it, and this is pretty fast, or better. It's better than the previous one. So what we can do, we can just disable this else part, or you can, if you want, you can even remove this, because our program is faster now. It can give the result really quickly. So let's run this project. You can see it is giving port 135 is open, port 445 is open for my local host. Okay, port 902 and port 912 is also open. Please note down, these ports can be vary on the basis of host. Like this is working for my, but if you run this program in your computer or your PC or your host, it might be different. Okay, so don't be confused on that one, that hey, I'm not getting the same ports, so this program is wrong. No, this program is correct, but the port numbers can vary for different hosts. Like let me call, instead of localhost, I'm going to call google.com. Just change the host variable over here, and let's execute this program again. Okay, see what port are open for Google. Okay, so no port is open on Google to where we can establish a connection or something. So this can be a different. Okay, I'm going to just make it localhost over here again. Okay, next what we can do, this is how we are calculating it, and this kind of, they can generate the errors. Okay, and the better way to deal with the error, if you can use sys to exit one, so it will safely exit your program. Okay, next we can use the socket more errors. Like this is the error that related to address, but there may be errors you couldn't connect to the server or something, our server is down. So for that purposes you can use the another error, which is except socket dot error. Okay, so it will generally use it as a general exception, and it can catch any error that will generate while dealing with this socket. Okay, let's call this couldn't connect to server, and here we are, and we will use sys.exit to safely exit our program. So this is very basic program that you can use to deal with the situation. And then finally, now the next requirement is we need to calculate the time. Before this port scanning, we need to calculate out the time. I'm going to call this T1 time 1, which is 8 time start. We can use datetime.now if we call this date time now function, it will display the time. I'm going to write down the print statement. Let's call this start time, okay, colon brackets dot format and t1. Okay, so this will display the start time in our project. We can check this. I'm going to run this program and you can see first it gave me start time, and this is 22nd, 10th is the month, okay, 29 is the date, time is this, okay, and you got the complete time, which and ports are open. Our next requirement was we just not need the time start time, we also need the end time and the total time. How we can calculate this? We are going to calculate this by adding these expressions. I'm going to write down the time, or let's do this after the end of the exception, because we have already covered the program and I'm going to cover both of this. T2 is our end time, when the program is going to terminate or finish this part. When this part will be completed, this will execute and it will give you the T2, which is the end time. And now we need the total time, which is total time. To get this, we can subtract end time with the start time, which is T2 minus T1. Okay, so we are going to just calculate that and let's display the total time. So we will get the start time, okay, then it's calculating, finding open ports is open, okay. I think it's a better idea if after the starting ports we will give a message that finding open ports, because user will know something happened at the background and this is the end time. So total time, we didn't change the messaging, total time, so total time is 15 seconds it took. As we discussed, I'm going to print a statement finding open ports, okay, in progress, something like this. So it will make it more interactive a bit more, and I think we are good on this one. Okay, so this is how we can calculate the time, finding open ports in progress, port 135, and here we go. So now once this will finish, we are going to execute how we can store the result in a separate file. Like we need to store the start time, end time, total time, and the open ports. All of these should save in a file. How we can achieve this? For this, I'm going to call a file and going to use open method over here. Open method requires two items over here. So before jump into the open methods, let me show you the open method syntax. Here we are. You can see I have searched this in Python, docs.python. I will also provide in the more links about this. So what is happening over here? It needs, the open function needs two things. First, it needs the file, like what's the file name, then you need to provide the mode of the file, and following is the mode. We are not going to use these ones, okay, these are some extra features. I'm just going to use this two, file and the mode, and it's perfectly fine to use just two of them. So these are the modes. If you are going to define R, it means open for reading. W is used for open for writing, okay, but it will truncate the if there is any already content available, that it will just remove that part. X for exclusive creation. If the if the file already exists. So if there is already in file, it will fail. For append mode, if you are writing at the end of the file, you can use it. So you can go and explore it, but for simplicity, I am just going to write the file name. I'm going to call port scanner, just give it .txt file, port scanner, and I'm going to use write mode W over here. Once we define this, we can now easily store the data in the file time. Let's write down over here file.write, and let's use the same syntax which we have and just copy paste into this. Okay, so this line will write the data into the file. Now let's go and also write down our start time and end time and the total time inside of it. I'm going to use the same syntax, and is coming into T2, and the total time is coming from total time. So now our file will store the result, but there will be a problem when we will be storing this. Let me show you the problem, and I will guide you how it's going to fix this. Let's execute this so you will have the idea. Once it's executed, you can see the file is created, which is port scanner. But the problem is all the data is result, like a start time, end time, and the total time. These all are coming in the same line. Okay, how we can fix this problem? We can just use escape sequence to do that. I'm going to use \n over here 2 times or 1 time if you want. \n, then at the end time, let's give it a \n. This is for new line character. Okay, I did this in the print statement. I have to do this in the file.write. So now the data on the result will display in a new line. Okay, and then we can also use to file.write to write the open ports inside of our file. Okay, I'm going to use this one, and this at the start of file, I'm going to give a new line, so every port number will be displayed in a new line. Let's go and execute this program. So start time, finding open ports, in progress, port 135 is open, 445 is open. Okay, it's finished, and now I'm going to see the port scanner. You can see the result is sorted out and is more formatted, like it's going to give you start time, open ports, individual lines, end time, and the total time. Okay, so this is how we can achieve Python port scanner, and this is one of the simplest program that I have made for you. You can utilize it, and don't forget to remove the hash symbol if you allow user to select the host. Okay, like we have fixed the host for localhost. I'm going to disable this and enable this one host. So now you can ask the user every time which one he is going to display. Okay, this is all about the host. You can even make it more formatted in this way, like we are calculating the host address or this. You can also write down in your file like which host you are scanning. Okay, like a host like this, scanning host, and in the scanning host we can give the, I think, IP address. It's a good idea to give the IP address, or you can use the host name. So just use the host over here. It will give the scanning port and the host. So this will also store the host name like localhost Google or this. Let me give you example. You can see it just give us finding open host in progress. This message is coming top at me at okay, and instead of this I am going to stop this and going to rerun this program. Start time is also coming first, so this is the problem. So instead of displaying the start time, because start time should start after the formatting, so you can even calculate, or you can take all of the bunch of code over here and just paste it after this line. So now you are first take the scanning host from the user, then you can find the IP, then you are doing the calculation, the start time, finding open port, something like this. This is gonna be fun. Okay, now let's go and run this again, and here you can see what we are going to write. Let's call bing.com and see if they have any open ports. So start time, finding open ports. So I just mess up with the code, like I give them a proper sequence and proper syntax in terms of alignment, so no ports were open for these two services. You can see we were hosting this IP address, scanning this IP address. This is the start time, end time, but no ports were available. Okay, I hope you guys have learned something, and just like this I have displayed the syntax. You can also display the result in error in the file. To do this I am going to utilize, you can also write down file.write. okay, and in file.write you can display the error messaging that we have over here, like this one, and you have another one. So this way you can even display the error messaging that is happening in your program. Just add a \n, so you will give the spacing or the line break before the program. I hope you guys have learned something this project 1, and now we are going to develop the same project using the different syntax or different style.